Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again for another episode of Ask Pastor Keith. Pastor Keith, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How
All
about you?
right. I'm doing great too as well.
All right.
And so today's topic is on the area of dating. And the question is, how should young adults go about praying for their future spouse? And how long should Christians date?
Wow. Okay. First of all, relationship is an art rather than a science. So I don't think there's any answer for all. I think it varies. But there's a general premises we can talk about. I think some schools of thought or some segment of Christianity thinks there's one person God has chosen, and you have to find that person. That sounds good, but that's scary. How many times we actually know God's will so clearly, so we make the right choice. If you ask the people, if they're honest, they'll say, most of the time I miss it out. That means most people marry the wrong person, right? That can be really scary. Instead, there's a pool of people that they are a good candidate that God blesses. First of all, believer, and with the same values and comparable, and in many ways. I think from it there are people that you are attracted to and all that. So therefore, we need to have a right assumption, right understanding to begin with. And therefore, when you pray for the right spouse, future spouse. There are a few things you need to consider. First of all, I explain love in Greek language and all that, and eros, physical attraction. You need to be attracted to that person. That has to be very clear, both way. We tend to kind of downplay that, and we become hyper spiritual, and as if that doesn't matter. I don't think we are living in that kind of time in a small village and without any interaction with others. We are living in a Facebook time, so it is very important that we are attracted to one another. Second, even more attractive important thing is that can you become a good friend? Do you not only love this person, but do you like this person? Can you build your friendship in this, marriage? Now, once you are married, you cannot have a best opposite gender friend. So your spouse has to be the best opposite gender friend. Not only that, best friend, period. This is some people I don't agree and all that, but no, life is not that easy. There when we are in good relationship, but we have hard times as married couple. And when you have a best opposite gender friend, that doesn't help, because when you try to find comfort or counsel from that friend, it doesn't end up in good place. So yes, in general, can you build a friendship with this person? And finally, that's phileo in Greek word, and finally is agape. We are very familiar with, is love of commitment. Can you commit yourself to this person? Because there are some thin times and difficult times that you are not attracted to that person anymore. You are angry at that person. He's not or she's not your best friend. The thing that holds the marriage is a commitment. Can you commit to this person? In other words, do you trust this person? So it's not just outside, exterior. It's not just inside, emotional aspect and all that, but spiritual. Can you trust this person? And commitment, and stay in that relationship. And I think those are good things to ask as you pray. Those ask the Lord to kind of reveal to you what those things are about this person, because we get into relationship out of infatuation rather than a deep love or long-term plan. Therefore, how long should you date? That depends. There are some people who are very mature. and they know exactly what they're getting into, and they're sure. However, I'm against just prolonged dating because the people thinks by dating they understand each other better, or they reveal their weakness and all that. They don't. Dating is designed to conceal your weaknesses, right? So therefore, you just go on and on and on, and actually you get married. It's different story. Actually, marriage is even different from cohabitating. Some people, we are just living together. It's like marriage. No, it's not. You don't have the covenantal relationship, and you don't have a future together in long term. You have both fit in. You don't have that commitment aspect. You can walk away anytime. That's different relationship altogether. In fact, if you cohabitate before marriage, 75% of the time it will fail. It will end up in divorce. So we know. So when you pray, those things you pray for, knowing that it's not one person, but there are several person. Therefore, should you date around? And my answer is yes and no. You should be prayerful about the relationship. And by no means you should date several people at one time. One, you sure, and then you go to next. But you need to be careful because in the context like church, it's not that wide open community. It's pretty close. Right. So you need to be very wise in doing so. But dating, to kind of get to know one another is not a bad idea before you make that final commitment. But knowing that dating has a limitation, it will not reveal everything about that person. So at the end of the day, you need to pray and be sure, And one more thing, not everybody is meant to get married. The singleness is actually honored in the scripture. And so, therefore, people shouldn't be so stressed out about this. And they need to be very comfortable either way. Yeah. So that's my talk on this.
Oh, man, I learned so much. Oh, man. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insight and your advice on dating.
Okay.
And thank you for joining us for this podcast. And join us next week again for another episode of Ask Pastor Keith.
All right, Jonathan,
you
learned
that?
something?
Wow. Man, why didn't I know this before?